Welcome to episode 6 of the In Between podcast. With the holidays fast approaching, we sat down to visit with our dear friend Carol Gary. Carol is the queen of hospitality and all things lovely and delicious. You will love her thoughts on hosting people in your home, holiday traditions, and ministering to others by just being present. Carol is so full of wisdom and ideas and so much fun to talk to. We hope you'll enjoy this episode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the In Between podcast. I'm Paige and my sister Leslie, and today we're so excited. We have our friend, the lovely Carol Gary, here with us. And we've known Carol for quite a long time.
Quite a long time.
Yes. We know her through our church, and she's great friends with our mom. She also did the flowers and food at Leslie's wedding, didn't she?
That's true.
Yeah. So Carol has 3 boys and a wonderful husband, and she owns a store called Dayspring Design. And you tell us you do all kinds of stuff. Tell us all the different things that you do.
We decorate homes, and mainly our focus is on using what people have and decorating with what they have and making that better. We have a home decor store, and we decorate a lot of homes for Christmas, and like 40 some. And we do a lot of floral arrangements, and we do fresh flower weddings. Yes.
Wow. That's a lot. Did I hear you say you're decorating 40 homes for Christmas?
We are.
Wow. That's good. So you're a busy lady.
Mostly.
Yes. Good.
Okay.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're so glad to have Carol. One of Carol's sons lives in Nashville, and I promise one of these days we're going to invite him over when I have chairs that we can sit at the table.
I loved your story about not having chairs and just inviting people over. It blessed my heart, Leslie.
Oh, well, we've made that work. So I don't think Sean would care too much if we had him over without chairs. But one thing that we like to do on the podcast each time is what we call into it and over it. So we're all going to kind of share something that we're really into right now, whatever that may be. It could be totally random or something meaningful, whatever that is. But Paige, do you want to go first? Tell us what you're into right now.
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm always just doing things that aren't very important. But my new thing that I'm really into is I just bought myself a paper calendar. For the last 3 years, I've kept all of my calendar on my phone and on my computer, and that's worked really well for me. But I started realizing I'm a very visual person, and so I bought myself this giant planner calendar, and it's fantastic.
Because you can see the whole month.
I can see the whole month, and it's just helping me organize my life. So I'm saying, as much as I love technology, I'm going back to pen and paper. So yeah, that's what I'm into.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Carol? What are you into?
Right now, I'm into realizing I should have eaten right the rest of my life. And so I'm really working at learning what's healthy and what's good for my body. And
awesome.
It's not very exciting, but I really am feeling like I have a real need to be doing that.
That's good. So are you doing a certain system, or what are you discovering in that?
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know.
We had somebody come to the church one night. I think they were friends with Judy Kern, and she was healed from cancer. And that night she said something that really sunk into my head, because they had just told me I needed both my knees replaced. And she said that night, we have to do everything we can do before we ask God to do what we can't do.
That's good.
And it just kind of stayed with me, and I started thinking, if somebody can be healed from stage 4 uterine cancer, surely I could be healed from needing 2 knees. Anyway, and then I was at a client's house, and she was in her 70s, and she just ran up her stairs at full strength, and I said, okay, so are you no arthritis in your body? And she said, really? I got off a plane in Australia, and I had to buy a cane because I couldn't walk. And she said, I got home, I went to the orthopedic. He said I needed 3 new deals. And she said, then all of a sudden I thought, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life recovering from surgeries. And she said, I got on the internet and I started researching it. And she said, I changed my diet. And I said, oh yeah, so you're not eating sugar and flour. And she said, then she went into this whole long thing. And I said, I don't think I could do that. And she said, if you could be pain-free and not have surgeries, you couldn't do that. Anyway.
Wow. So is it
Whole 30.
You're doing Whole30.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard that's really hard. Did you try that, Leslie?
No. I know people that have done it, and they've had great success. They've said it's awesome. So,
their whole deal isn't about losing weight. Their whole deal is about getting your body the right thing. And I guess I know what the right things are. I just didn't want to do it. But I felt like if God gave me 2 different signs in about a month, maybe that was my sign I needed to get on board. So that's kind of what I'm into right now, studying that.
Cool.
That was a long way to tell you that.
No, I like it. That's good. I have a friend actually in Botswana who's done Whole30, and she says it's revolutionized her life and just the way she feels. And so,
this lady said to me, that her orthopedic surgeon said, you need a hip, you need 2 knees. We just need to decide the priority. You go home and think about it. And she said, I haven't had any surgery and I'm feeling great. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then the thing came back about we need to do everything we can do before we ask God to do what we can't do.
Yeah. That's good. So you're doing it.
I'm doing it.
Well, good. What are you into, Leslie?
okay, so what I'm into right now is I'm really into one-on-one time with my kids. We're always like all together. And, I've always known this or known, this is important to do, but I've just had, and it really hasn't been through me planning it. A lot of times in the past, I've had to kind of plan special one-on-one time, but my husband's been out of town some, and this past weekend he took our middle daughter on a trip, and so it was just me and the other 2 girls, and we kind of had moments where it was, just me and one of them, and it's just been awesome. There's just something about, the dynamics of a family when we're all together is great, but also when we get that one-on-one opportunity, they really open up and share, and just kind of a different side of them kind of comes out, a different side of me comes out. So I love that. I love just having the one-on-one. It doesn't necessarily have to be some big planned event, but just, little moments even throughout the day where you can just kind of take advantage of those times and not waste the time, but really kind of dive into just those special one-on-one moments. So I'm just loving that. I'm loving as my kids get older, their personalities are developing more, and just who they are. I mean, they're these people, these like amazing people with their own personalities and all those things. I mean, you see that even when they're babies, but the older they get, they really start to come out. And so I'm loving that. I'm loving being their mom, but also kind of being their friend in certain ways. And it's fun. So I'm loving that. So on the flip side of the into, we got to share what we're over, just kind of like had it with. So what about you, Paige? What are you over this week?
Well, this week I'm actually really over extreme posts on social media. And maybe it's because of the election, but it's not just the election. I just feel like right now, a lot of people are extreme, and there's a lot of just negative language, and I'm tired of seeing people get in fights on social media, and I feel strongly about some things too, but I'm just more and more, I feel like God's just telling me, like, you need to just keep it in. You need to keep it shut, or actually have these conversations over a table or in person with people and not on social media. So I'm kind of reading less and less things on social media because of that, because I kind of already know, regardless of what side anything is about, that the heart behind it is going to be like a harsh, negative criticism, and I'm just over it. So yeah, so that's what I'm
that's
over.
Good.
Yeah. What about you, Carol? What are you over?
I think in my life, I keep thinking about just stuff, too much stuff, and that's a pretty funny thing for somebody that sells stuff to be saying.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have a sack in the bottom of my closet now. If it's not good enough to wear today, I'm getting rid of it. You know, I'm just trying to get rid of things that we don't use and I don't love and there's not a need for.
Yeah, that's so good. I read a book last year called, and it's a little quirky, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. You heard of this book?
No.
And you have it?
Yeah, I read it. Yeah.
Okay. It's by this, is she from Japan?
Uh-huh.
By this Japanese woman. And she starts talking about how the Japanese are much more minimalist anyways than like Americans or anywhere else. And just how your life can change if you get rid of so much stuff. So I read it and then I did it. Now her quirkiness is, she says like, you need to like go and like touch everything. And if it brings you joy, you keep it. And if it doesn't bring you joy, you toss it. So the other day, in fact, Josh, he was looking at my pants and he goes, I feel like it's time to go and see if these pants bring you joy because you have too many pairs of pants. So, but it works. It really does kind of work. But I agree. I'm over that too.
That's good.
What are you over?
I had almost the same thing that you did, Paige, but I'm just over people being mean. It's just, I'm just like, can we just all get along? Like, I feel like kindness just goes such a long way, and we're missing a lot of kindness, not only in our social media posts, but just in our speech. One thing I have loved about Tennessee, and I always thought Texas was a very friendly place, but the people in Tennessee are like on a whole other level of friendliness and kindness. I mean, almost to the point of like over the top. I mean, it caught me off guard a few times that everyone is just, they're genuine. It's not a fake thing. It's like they're really genuinely interested. The guy at the oil change place is genuinely interested in how my day's going. Or, you know, the cashier at the grocery store is genuinely like interested in what I'm cooking and these ingredients I'm buying. I mean, people are just friendly, and I love that. And so I think because I've had this extra dose of that, all the meanness is just really like, I'm just, it's just gross and I'm over it. So let's just all get along. Love each other. So yeah, that's kind of mine, kind of the same thing. So Carol, when we decided to talk to you, I got super excited because there was a time when I've just always thought you're fabulous, and like you just create these beautiful things and you make the most delicious food, and you've had me in your home and my family in your home, and you're just the best hostess, and you're just amazing. But I'll never forget, there was this one time we were doing like a ladies event at church, and it was like for the holidays coming up, and it was, okay, come and bring your favorite dish, and Carol Gary's gonna like make a floral arrangement or like glue a wreath together and teach us how to make a wreath. And so it was like, I was so excited because it was, we get to learn from Carol. She's just so wonderful, and everything she makes is so wonderful. And so I went and I was all excited, and you made a wreath, and you had like this hot glue pot, which was like the coolest thing. And you're like whipping stuff together and like putting your flowers on this wreath. But as you were talking, your heart was, it was so beautiful. And it was like about hospitality. And up to that point, for me, hospitality had always been about the pretty wreath and the pretty table and the perfect food. And you said something that night, and you said, hospitality is about how you make people feel in your home. And that has always stuck with me. And it's like I had a shift in my mind of, the beautiful flowers are wonderful, and the beautiful table, it's special, and it makes people feel special, and those are great, good things. But how are you making people feel in your home? And I just love that. And so with the holidays coming up, what does hospitality look like to you? I mean, I know we all get in these frantic events, you know, but what does that look like to you, and how could we apply that in our situations with family and friends? And just talk a little bit about hospitality and what that looks like for you.
I still believe that's true, that the main bottom line on hospitality is how do people feel when they come to your home? Do they feel loved? Do they feel comfortable? Do they feel like they have to be somebody they're not because everything's so perfect?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still love for a table to be pretty, but I don't think that's important. I mean, I think if you see somebody at church and they need loved on and they can come to your house and you don't exactly know if you're fixing nachos or soup, that it's really okay, because what you're doing is meeting a need right then. And I think when we go even towards the holidays, you know, I think I hear moms get all this stuff in their head, and I'm not talking about moms your age. I'm probably more talking about moms my age. They get this idea in their head of what their kids expect. And I think sometimes it's not the kids, it's the moms. It's like when y'all are throwing birthday parties, sometimes it's not for a 3-year-old, it's not the 3-year-old's idea about the birthday party. It's the mom's idea about how over top the birthday party has to be. And I think a lot of the holidays are like that. I mean, I think the traditions are great, but I mean, sometimes we just need to let go of some things to really spend quality time instead of stressed out time.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's really good. So, how do you maintain that? Because like you were saying earlier, you're going to decorate 40 houses.
We're going to do that in November.
Okay. So you're decorating in November. I know your shop probably beyond that has a lot during the holidays. So for you as Carol Gary, how do you keep your heart in that place where you just love people? Yeah.
You know, my heart was not in that place when I still catered, because we catered right up until the 21st or 22nd of the month. And I mean, selling my catering business helped somewhat with that. You know, I always felt like it was a good thing I had boys because they didn't have high expectations. And they knew mom was going to run out and do the Christmas shopping on the 22nd of December. But I just think for all of us, also it's focusing on who you're with right then. And, you know, for a while, because I was a social worker for 20 years, you know, when I got into the business I'm in now, I felt like I wasn't doing anything for the kingdom. I wasn't doing things that mattered or things that were important. But you know what? There's hurting people all around us who need God's love. And I mean, being able to speak that into who you're with right that moment. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether it's our family or like you were kind of saying about the guy, it's a quick oil change. But, you know, being able to speak to who we're with right then and valuing them is important. And I think sometimes in my mind, if I were regretting things, it'd be that I was already on to the next thing. You know, I was already on to what my next task at hand was, and that we have to just slow down to focus on who God's put in front of us at that moment. And, you know, I mean, I've tried to create that atmosphere at the store, and I think even my people are to a place now that they'll pray with clients, or they'll come get me and say, hey, we really need to pray for it. They might not do it, but they do know, they do recognize that need. And I just think whether it's Christmas or when it is, we just have to concentrate on who we're with right then.
That's good. That's so good. That's so awesome. And that can be hard when things get busy.
Right. It is.
That's good.
It is.
That, you know, a couple weeks ago on our podcast, we talked to Chanda Allen, and she was talking about how God showed her that shopping can be a ministry. And I love what you said, because I do think sometimes we box things in like, okay, social work, where you're doing this
you're
thing.
Helping the needy.
You're helping the needy.
And the hurting.
Exactly. Or I know, because I work at a church all the time, people come to me and they say, I know I'm called to be in ministry. Like, how do I get a job like you? And I think the more we can begin to.
That we're ministers.
Exactly. Like, it is not in any kind of box. It's in decorating. It is in shopping. Because wherever you are, you have people around you.
You do.
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. Well, so let me ask you this. Leslie is always been very hospitable. Like, if back when she lived in Lubbock, if our family was getting together, it was usually, let's all go to Leslie's, you know? And I have a great home now. To entertain people in. but I don't know if it's because of my type A personality, but it stresses me out before people come. And it's not so much that I want everything to be perfect. Maybe that is it. I just feel like I'm forgetting something, or I just rush a lot. So the holidays are coming up here soon. Any practical advice for people like me that have a hard time not naturally making people feel like they're at home, but that want to be able to do that?
I don't know. I mean, one thing is sometimes even when we're having people over, if it's with food, we make the food too hard. You know, I mean, I think back, it was when we were at Trinity, not when we were at Church on the Rock, but when we were at Trinity, on Sunday nights, a lot of times, whoever was sitting around us, we would say, you want to come over? And, I always just had ingredients for nachos, and I had to make them when I got there. But, it was when there was Sunday night church every week. Yeah. And, it was okay. Nobody cared that all they were having was nachos. And I think sometimes we just make life so hard because we think we have to do something incredible.
Right. Yeah.
And if we didn't do quite as incredible, it really is okay to buy something from Sam's.
Right.
That's pre-made. It's really okay. There's just a lot of things we could do to make our lives simpler. And sometimes it's like we have to prove something or we have to make something more. And it's really not about that at all.
Yeah, that's good.
I know for me last year, so I hosted Thanksgiving at my house for all of my husband's family last year. My mother-in-law moved to Alaska last summer, so we weren't all going to go to Alaska for Thanksgiving. So we just decided, okay, let's have everyone to our house. And I was excited because I love to host people, but instantly I started panicking. And one of my husband's brothers is married and they have 6 kids. And not only were they coming to Thanksgiving, they were coming to stay at our house for, this extended period, this few days, and which I was super excited about. But it was like, okay, not only am I preparing the biggest meal of the year, but now I have to have my home prepared for, 8, 9 extra guests and all of these things. And so for me, just something simple and practical, and maybe this is my nerdy organizational side, but I actually made a notebook and I put all the recipes for that week in that notebook. That way I wasn't going to be looking in multiple places. And I had just kind of all my notes for the meal because my mother-in-law was not coming. She wasn't going to be able to come from Alaska, and she always does the big deal. And it's funny too, you see in holidays how different families are because, when we were growing up, we would do a big holidays with all of our families because we have a jillion cousins and stuff, but everybody brought something. It was sign up for a dish, and so it kind of lightened the load on whoever. It was just everybody's going to bring something. But in my husband's family, my mother-in-law has always done all of it, and it's been a lot of we could probably feed 17 more families with all the food that she would make. And so for me, it was just preparing ahead of time. And because I wanted to be in the moment on that day and not just be stuck in the kitchen, I made all my casseroles ahead of time and stuck them in the fridge. So all I had to do was pull them out, warm them up, and they were ready to go. And so little things like that, I think have helped me be able to focus on the guests when they do get there and focus on, what's happening right in front of me instead of knee deep in a recipe, where's my sweet potatoes and all that kind of a thing. So the notebook may have been a little overkill, I'm fully aware of, but it just worked for me. So yeah, I think, planning as much as you can ahead is good too for holidays. So
and making the head things is good.
Yeah. Or with my family, with my mother-in-law, she's so great. She started going to Sprouts and she buys 3 casseroles from there. And They're pretty good. It's fun.
Yeah,
it works, you know?
Yeah, it does.
Good. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I remember John was cooking everything for Thanksgiving because we were on our, decorating for Christmas thing. And he came home and he said, and we're going to have extremely outstanding pies. And I thought he was making them because he's really a good cook. And he had bought them all at Sam's. And he had bought ice cream. And he said, you said to make my life simpler. And that's going to make everybody's life simpler. And you know what? The Sam's pies were fine.
I bet they were great. Yeah.
Yeah, they were fine. I just think we make our lives hard sometimes.
Yeah. That's true. That's good.
So what are some of your and your family's favorite holiday traditions? Little things that maybe y'all have done through the years or when your boys were little.
I'll tell you my very favorite tradition. We go to some weird restaurant, like a truck stop every year, where we think there's going to be, I know this is sounding pretty crazy.
This is great.
And we go somewhere really odd where we think there'll be like some single mom, not like some little college girl, but some little, or college boy, but some single mom. And then when we leave, without them knowing it, we leave a blessing tip. And we've just always done that, and our boys love it. We love it. I mean, we started when Sean was a baby. I remember we were spending the night in Amarillo, and we were on our way to Oklahoma. And John said, it'd be fun to leave $100 bill in there. And I said, yeah, if we had it. And he said, Carol, you decide what you're going to spend money on. Do you want to bless somebody else, or do you want to keep it to buy more stuff we don't need? And oh my gosh, it was just like...
Wow.
So the truth. And so we've done that all their lives. Now, I will tell you, one time when Sean was on the road and we were going to the truck stop in Lubbock to eat on the 23rd or 24th, he was not very excited. He did not. He said, there are probably poor women working at any decent restaurant in town tonight. But we've just always done that, and that's probably my favorite thing we do.
That is, I've never heard anybody do that. I love that so much. Can I steal it and it become one of our traditions?
And it's pretty cool because we always make sure we're out of the restaurant, but sometimes you can see them like looking out and showing their boss, because they're just so amazed. We actually did that this summer at a restaurant in Tennessee. It was down, not in Tennessee, in Atlanta. It was downtown, and we had this little waitress, and the music was so loud you couldn't think. And I said to her, I'm really old and my ears hurt. Could you turn that music down? And she turned it down. And then John told her to get him the biggest piece of pie, and she gets this huge, enormous piece of pie. And he said, "Are you going to get in trouble for that?" She said, "No, I told him that you put the biggest piece." It went on, and John said, "You should bless her." And we were out the door, and John and I were actually down the street, and Hannah and Sean were getting ready to walk out, and she came and she said, is that your daddy? You tell your daddy thanks. Anyway, I don't know. That's probably my favorite thing we do.
I love it.
We have other stuff we do, but that's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's where you really get to bless people on the holidays. I love it. That's so good. Well, Carol, thank you for joining us today.
You are so welcome.
We just love you, and I'm just thinking my takeaway is to do what I need to do so that I can focus on the people in front of me. I like what you said about so often we think ahead to the next thing. And I know I'm guilty of that.
I am too.
So I'm just going to really try to be mindful this holiday, and not just holiday, every day, that I try to just focus on the people that I'm with in that moment, because the other stuff always works out, doesn't it?
It does always work out.
It does. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And we will see you here next week.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. We hope you'll take some time this holiday season to slow down and really enjoy the people that are around you. Don't be afraid to open your home and share your heart of hospitality with those that you love. Don't forget, you can always connect with us through our website, theinbetween.com. We've got a blog with all of our show notes, as well as Paige and Leslie's personal blogs, and a link to our Facebook and Instagram pages. You can stay connected with the In-Between in lots of different ways, and we hope that you will. We'll see you back here next week. Have a great one.